Imagine a dinosaur that looks like a glitchy character from a video game. Long arms, a duck-like face, and claws that belong in a horror movie. That's Deinocheirus, one of the weirdest dinosaurs to ever walk the Earth. When scientists first dug up its bones, they were left scratching their heads. The only parts they had were some ribs, a few vertebrae, and those ridiculous arms. No skull, no legs. Just these massive, blunt claws, each one bigger than a human head. What kind of creature could even have arms like that? For decades, Deinocheirus was a mystery. People imagined it as a ferocious predator, using its claws to tear apart prey. Others thought it was some kind of prehistoric sloth hanging from trees. But eventually, more fossils were found, and the truth turned out to be way stranger than anyone expected. Deinocheirus was huge, the size of a school bus. It had a long neck, a giant pot belly, and legs that looked like they belonged on a bird. Its feet were wide and flat, like snowshoes, perfect for walking through muddy rivers and lakes. It couldn't run very fast, but it didn't need to. This wasn't a hunter. It was more like a giant, waddling vacuum cleaner for plants. And that head! Its mouth looked like a duck's beak, flat, toothless, and perfect for scooping up soft plants from the water. Some scientists think it even had a big, muscular tongue, helping it slurp up bunches of vegetation like an underwater cow. Not the most elegant eater, but definitely effective. Despite its awkward look, Deinocheirus was a survivor. It had powerful limbs that could dig through mud and pull up roots. And those huge claws? Not for fighting. Not really. They were more like multi-tools, great for foraging. And if needed, good enough to scare off predators with a powerful swing. Its body was covered in feathers, or so many scientists believe. Not the fluffy kind you'd see on birds today, but more like a fuzzy layer that helped it stay warm in the wetlands. Its long tail might have even ended in a fan of feathers, like a built-in flag it could wave around. What's wild is how much this creature confused scientists for years. Just imagine, for decades all they had were the arms. People drew it like a monster, a killer, a tree hugger. But when the full picture came together, it turned out to be a peaceful, plant-eating giant with the body of a duck, the feet of a bird, and the arms of a nightmare. And still, Deinocheirus had enemies. It lived in a world full of danger. Huge, meat-eating dinosaurs roamed the same lands. Even this 6-ton behemoth wasn't safe. Bite marks on its bones tell a story. It had to fight to survive. But somehow it did. It thrived. Not by being the fastest or fiercest, but by being the weirdest. While other dinosaurs chased prey or battled each other for dominance, Deinocheirus just did its own thing. It wandered through lakes and swamps, scooping up plants, minding its business, and swinging those absurd claws if someone got too close. In a way, it's inspiring. Evolution didn't make it sleek or scary. It made it bizarre. And that was enough. Today, Deinocheirus is finally getting the attention it deserves. It starred in documentaries, video games, and even made cameos in popular dinosaur shows. Fans love it not because it's powerful, but because it's unforgettable. So next time someone says dinosaurs were all just scaly lizards with sharp teeth, show them Deinocheirus, the ultimate oddball, a creature so strange it could only be real. But even with all we've learned, Deinocheirus still holds secrets. For example, how did it raise its young? Did it travel alone, or move in groups like modern water birds? Could it communicate using calls or displays with its feathered tail? We don't know. The fossils can only tell us so much. Some scientists speculate it used body language, maybe raising its arms or shaking its feathers to warn rivals or impress a mate. Others suggest it might have made low, booming sounds through its large chest cavity. Imagine a dinosaur that looked weird, sounded weird, and moved like a waddling swamp ghost. There's also the mystery of its hump. Or was it a sail? Some think it had a tall ridge along its back, possibly for storing fat or regulating body heat. Others believe it was just for showing off. Nature doesn't always pick function over flair. Deinocheirus reminds us that evolution doesn't care what we think is normal. It builds what works, or at least what works long enough to survive. Sometimes that means creating a 6-ton, water-loving, feather-covered beast with a duckbill and claws that could give Freddy Krueger nightmares. And maybe that's what makes it so memorable. Deinocheirus isn't just another dinosaur. It's proof that life, when left to its own devices, can get really creative. It's weird, it's wonderful, and it's 100% real. Maybe in some muddy corner of ancient Mongolia, a herd of Deinocheirus trudged through the shallows together, shoulder to shoulder, like prehistoric hippos. Maybe juveniles play-fought with their claws, learning the moves that would help them survive later. Maybe their deep calls echoed through the wetlands, bouncing off trees and ripples. The image is strange, but oddly beautiful. And for all the modern media appearances, from video games to animated documentaries, it's their mystery that keeps pulling us back. Deinocheirus isn't the hero or the villain. It's the misfit, the wild card, the prehistoric oddball who made it against all odds. Its story teaches us that you don't need to be the strongest or the fastest. Sometimes being weird is enough. Being different is your strength. And if a big, duck-faced, feather-fluffed giant with freaky arms could make it in a world ruled by teeth and terror, maybe we all have a shot, just by being ourselves. So here's to the strange ones, the swamp stompers, the misunderstood, the giants that didn't roar, they squished. And somewhere in the dirt, another bone might be waiting, another piece of the puzzle, another glimpse into the life of the weirdest dinosaur ever. The story of Deinocheirus isn't finished, not even close. And maybe that's what makes this dinosaur so irresistible, the fact that even with everything we now know, it still leaves us with more questions than answers. What did its feathers actually look like? How exactly did it interact with others of its kind? Did it dance in the water during mating rituals, using its tail fan like a prehistoric peacock? Did it have color vision? And if so, what strange colors might it have used to stand out or blend in? Think of all the strange behaviors modern birds display. Nest building, singing, dancing, feather puffing. Now picture a massive version of that, stomping through reeds and making bizarre calls as it waves its tail. We may never fully know what Deinocheirus looked or acted like in life, but its fossils spark the imagination like few others can. And that's the magic of creatures like this. They remind us how much of nature is still unknown, how much beauty and strangeness has come and gone, leaving only clues behind. For every T-Rex or Triceratops that dominates the spotlight, there's a Deinocheirus in the background, strange, silent, and spectacular. The story of Deinocheirus isn't just about one animal. It's about how science evolves, how mysteries can be unsolved for decades, only to be rewritten with one discovery, and how even the weirdest creatures deserve their moment in the sun. So keep digging, keep wondering, keep celebrating the strange, because somewhere out there, in a museum drawer, a forgotten field, or a chunk of rock on a dusty shelf, the next piece of the puzzle is waiting. And who knows what it might reveal? And as long as we're talking about questions, here's one more. What if Deinocheirus isn't the weirdest dinosaur out there? What if it's just the beginning? If a creature like this could evolve and thrive, what else is waiting to be uncovered? What other creatures, with even stranger adaptations, could still be hidden beneath our feet? Imagine stumbling upon a dinosaur with inflatable neck sacs for singing, or one that glows faintly in the dark like a deep-sea jellyfish. Maybe there were species with limbs adapted not just for swimming or walking, but gliding short distances across wetland gaps, their bodies acting like feathery parachutes. It sounds unbelievable, but then again, so did Deinocheirus, until it wasn't. Science doesn't stop. Paleontology doesn't stop. Every dig site holds the potential to change the story we thought we knew. Every fossil, no matter how small, could turn our understanding upside down. The more we look, the more we find. And with every strange discovery, the world gets a little more magical. So the next time you see a duck waddling near a pond, or a heron stabbing its beak into the shallows, think of Deinocheirus. Think of what it might have looked like marching through the muck, tail fan raised, claws slicing through the reeds, making low, bellowing calls that rolled across the ancient floodplains. The truth is, the age of dinosaurs never really ended. Not in our minds, not in our stories, and certainly not in the questions that still drive us to dig, to wonder, and to dream. Because if evolution had the imagination to make Deinocheirus, what else did it dream up? But let's take a moment to imagine what it would really be like to encounter a Deinocheirus in its natural habitat. Picture a vast wetland stretching under a hazy, ancient sky. Thick reeds sway gently in the breeze, and muddy banks line slow-moving rivers. Somewhere in the distance, the calls of other dinosaurs echo faintly. Suddenly, a huge shadow moves through the shallows. There it is, Deinocheirus, lumbering like a living island of feathers and muscle. Its enormous feet make soft splashes as it steps carefully, almost like a giant wading bird. The long neck bends down, and the duck-like bill dips beneath the surface, sweeping and scooping up plants. Watching this creature feed is like watching a prehistoric vacuum cleaner at work, efficiently gathering food with surprising grace for such a giant. And those claws, terrifying and bizarre, yet strangely elegant in their utility. Instead of a weapon of death, these claws are tools of survival, digging into mud, pulling up roots, and maybe even fending off threats. You can almost imagine the slow, deliberate movements, the swaying tail feather fan twitching like a flag signaling safety or warning. Now, think about the challenges this enormous creature would face. The wetlands were filled with dangers, quicksand-like mud pits, hungry predators lurking just out of sight, storms that could turn a calm river into a raging torrent. Deinocheirus had to be tough, resilient, patient, and well adapted to its swampy world. Despite its bulk, it likely moved with a surprising amount of balance and control. Those wide feet weren't just for show. They helped spread its weight to avoid sinking, much like modern-day water birds. And the thick layer of feathers may have provided insulation against cold nights or helped shed water after a long day wading. But what about its social life? Did Deinocheirus live alone or travel in herds? While fossils can't answer this directly, comparisons with modern animals suggest it might have been social. Large animals often gather in groups for protection and shared foraging. Imagine a group of these giants slowly making their way through a marsh, their towering silhouettes casting long shadows as the sun sets. The younger ones play fighting with their claws, learning the skills they'll need to survive adulthood. The adults communicate with low rumbles, their feathered tails flicking to signal friends or warn of danger. And what of its young? Baby Deinocheirus would have looked like tiny versions of their parents, awkward, clumsy, and covered in fuzzy proto-feathers. Growing up in a world full of threats, these youngsters would rely on the adults for protection, learning which plants were safe to eat and how to use their claws. It's easy to picture a tender scene. A mother Deinocheirus gently nudging a juvenile out of harm's way with her massive arms, or a family huddling together in a clearing to rest. Science has uncovered amazing clues about Deinocheirus's life, but many mysteries remain. The exact colors of its feathers, its mating rituals, and even its vocalizations are lost to time. Yet these questions inspire wonder and fuel ongoing research. Modern technology is helping paleontologists dig deeper. CT scans, 3D modeling, and biomechanical analysis let scientists test how Deinocheirus moved, how strong its claws were, and how it might have interacted with its environment. Each new study reshapes our understanding, revealing an animal that was both stranger and more fascinating than we imagined. Deinocheirus also reminds us how much the prehistoric world was a place of extremes, where evolution produced creatures so wild and unexpected that they defy comparison to anything alive today. It challenges our ideas about what dinosaurs looked like, how they behaved, and what roles they played in ancient ecosystems. So, the next time you see a bird at a pond or watch a crane carefully probe the water with its beak, remember, these modern animals carry echoes of that strange, duck-faced giant that once roamed the wetlands of ancient Mongolia. Deinocheirus was a one-of-a-kind marvel, a reminder that nature's creativity knows no bounds. And as we continue to explore, uncover, and imagine, one thing is certain. The story of Deinocheirus is far from over. New fossils may yet emerge, new questions will arise, and new tales will be told about this unforgettable dinosaur.